Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Listen, it's time for our weekly Vanderpump Rules recap, except this time I am joined by a special guest, none other than Jason.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Jason.
I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to have you. Jason, okay, can you please explain to us what happened to Down with Jason? I know
Ye
you're still on YouTube under a different name. What's the
Oh my
tea?
god. No, and I know it can get confusing. You know what? We kind of just spread ourselves too thin and, Adam has his channel Up and Adam, and then I had Down with Jason, but then we were just really always on Up and Adam, and
Yeah.
then we started to do, like, vlogs and stuff like that, and I'm like, "You know what? Let's just consolidate into the Up and Adam umbrella, and we can put
Uh-huh.
vlogs and behind the scenes on one channel, and I can do, things if I want to, but then really focus on just keeping it all one because we were putting things everywhere and I feel like people were getting lost.
It's really hard, honestly, with YouTube because obviously, as people, we're so multidimensional. We've got so many different interests going around. And
Right.
it's like, how do you put that all together, especially when you're a team the way you two are?
Yeah, it's and that's why it's all one now. It's
Uh-huh.
all one.
I love it. Congratulations. You guys are doing so well here on YouTube. It's such a joy to watch you guys grow.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here because I know we were just talking before we came on here. I was supposed to do something with you, I think last year, if I'm not mistaken. And then I
Mhm.
had a family emergency, and then today our power went out. And so right now we're streaming from the phone. I said we are doing this. The universe is not stopping us from doing this live today.
I was telling Jason, I'm like, I think the universe is warning you against me. They're like,
No,
nope, not today, Satan.
not
Listen,
today, Satan.
guys, thank you so much for joining. Like every week, we do Vanderpump Rules at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, and we just have this small, adorable community that I love chatting with. Real quick, before we get into it, Jason, what is this morning meeting you've got in your tagline?
So we have a we started, so we have a morning meeting. We have a little kind of team now, and we were just talking, and people really like it. I don't know. I didn't like it at the beginning, but
Mhm.
really it's just us doing our morning meeting, like what interviews we have coming up, the travel we have coming up, things we have going on. We're working on a merch store right now. So, we just kind of like put on the camera. Like we're not
Mhm.
even ready sometimes. We just put it on, we leave it on for like 30 minutes and we talk to the live chat, whoever is there who wants to join in on our morning meeting.
Mhm.
It's interesting, but it's
I
fun.
love that. And what time is your morning meeting?
It's usually at like 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States.
On the East Coast. All right, I'm gonna have to tune in. That's like 3 o'clock for me. I'm in.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
do
yeah. I
it.
feel like that's a great time, like, internationally, almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. West Coaster, 6 a.m. You're getting up, you're brushing your teeth. We've got some TikTokers in here as well. You've
Yeah.
already got a morning meeting fan here. Stephanie, she tunes in for your morning
Oh,
meetings.
thank you. You know what's so crazy is I was like, "I don't think I like these." And then Adam's like, "No, I think they're good." I'm like, "I'm not sure. Like, is it enough? Is us sitting around a table talking, like, really enough for people to be interested?" And then
Uh-huh.
we've just gotten so much feedback. I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Let's do it."
I love it. People are voyeurs. I consider myself one. Like a lot of times on TikTok, I like to watch people just like, I don't know, doing their makeup or ranting or whatever, or just having
Yes.
conversations with each other. Like, I don't know, I enjoy it.
There's a great YouTuber, Benita Larson, and she's just a complete minimalist. And I love sometimes she's just like cleaning the counter, and I'm like, this is great. Like why do I like watching this?
This is so calming. How have I never seen such riveting content?
Right. Sometimes less is more.
Exactly, exactly. All right. Well, there you go, you guys. The next morning meeting is coming up soon. So make sure you tune in on that. And now, when it comes to Vanderpump Rules, I always love asking this. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate last night's episode of the show, Jason?
I'd give it a solid 8. I'll give
Mm-hmm.
it a solid 8. I think this season, to be honest, like the editing has changed a lot. The production value has been upgraded, and I had to like eat my own words because the past 2 seasons we've been recapping this. I've
Yeah.
said after season 8, I was like, this is the season of completion. It's done. Then season 9, I'm like, this is definitely the season of completion. It's done. And now
Mhm.
watching so far this season, I'm like, there's really not an end in sight.
That's the thing. They really like flipped us on our heads because I was the same as you. I was like, how can they move forward? Right? Everyone's married, everyone's got these babies, and then some people got fired. Now what? but it really seems like we are just like scratching the surface.
I
And
know.
I don't know about you, Jason, but I can't think of another show that has just like come out of left field again like that, completely like rebirthed.
I can't either. And there was a lot of talk about a Schwartz and Sandy spinoff,
Yeah.
and some of our friends went into that casting, and I know that that was scratched.
Uh-huh.
Vanderpump Valley or whatever they were going to try to do with the girls and the kids, like
Mhm.
Scheana and Lala and Brittany with their kids and stuff like that. That was scratched, and all that was scratched because this season was so good that
Uh-huh.
they really just kind of wanted to keep it all there, and
Mhm.
that's exciting. But I can't think of another show like that.
No. Well, that's great for them, but I'm sure that, and by the way, Stassi just announced that she's pregnant with her second baby. Congratulations to her and Bo. But people like that, I imagine that it must be hard for them to see how well this is doing. They probably thought, oh, well, without us, it's not going to continue. But come to find out.
I mean, sometimes you just need a change. And I think what they tried to do, let's say like season 8, when they brought on one of our friends, Max Boyens and Brett and Dana, Kathan, and Danica, when they tried to bring in new blood, but without really being kind of cohesive to the rest of the cast, it just felt
Oh, that was
pushed.
horrible.
It was
Yeah.
horrible. And then season 9, we had the pandemic, which, people are still recovering from, and it was just kind of a low thing. I don't know. I just feel like right now everyone gels,
Mhm.
and it's so good. But I can't imagine like being like, let's say Kristen or Stassi or whatever, and you're like, I was the show. I made the
Yeah.
show happen. And then all of a sudden now the show's doing well.
I know. I would be so jealous. I can't. When it comes to me personally, I think I would rate the episode about the same, like a 7.5 to an 8. Like it was pretty good. But like Stephanie's saying, and Steph, I would love to get more details about your take here. There was something that was a little heavy. Like to me, I feel like Raquel is truly spiraling here, like she's going through heartbreak and stuff. And I feel like it would be nice for her to name what it is that she's going through. I feel like she's going through like a temporary kind of like depression almost, like just the way that she's kind of like self-destructing her life, like it's just kind of rough.
The fact that you just said that, I have a note here that I
Uh-huh.
took last night, because sometimes I'm like, oh wait, let me write this down so I don't forget it. But it's crazy to see the 180 that Raquel has gone through,
Yeah.
right? She came on the show as the sweet, innocent girl, Lala said there's not much upstairs, stuff like that. And you even I love when she uses words that don't make sense. Like
Oh
she
god.
said something to Peter like, thank you so much for whatever, and Peter's like, that's not the word. But you saw her go from this to taking shots behind the bar to now it seems like she's just pushing storylines here,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
it's like oh god, I have a bug. Like on the Real Housewives of Potomac, I was talking to one of our friends, and our friend said this season Robin is activated. Like she
Yeah.
is activated. And I feel the same about Raquel. I feel like Raquel is activated. She's here for reality TV, and she's going to play the game this season.
Hmm.
But
So
it is sad to watch her kind of like spiral. We've seen a few times with her, where she's like, James, I'm just feeling, I want to make out with you. And it's just like, oh, it's
yeah.
sad.
That's exactly it, and her like going back again to the girlfriend. Because in the last week's episode, we saw her go up to James like twice, to bring up the past. And now this week she goes to the girlfriend again, like, hey, did you hear that he had cheated on me? It's just, I don't know. She's really going through it, the poor girl. So I am feeling like, oh, like I get it, Raquel. Like that's really, really tough. And then you've got Katie, who, right, she thinks that Scheana is her friend. I know they were never like best friends or anything like that. But then to learn that your friend has been trying to go behind your back to amp up your ex-husband to go after another friend, oh, that's rough. That's rough.
I see it from both sides here. I know that Katie was mad about the podcast, and even James was like, yeah, after we broke up, Scheana wanted to have Raquel on the podcast, right? But
Yeah.
Tom and Raquel, they can say no, they don't have to do the podcast. And
Uh-huh.
with with this situation, I don't feel like Scheana is like pushing Raquel to go after Tom. I think
Yeah.
she kind of just mentions something like that. But
Uh-huh.
when it comes to accountability, it's whenever Raquel is in front of Katie And she's like, well, I like Tom as a friend, and if it was anything, it wouldn't be serious. Like, that's already insulting. And then the fact that at the end of the episode, when she was talking to Katie with Ariana, she was like, I went up to Schwartz and I asked him to make out, and Scheana put the idea in my head.
I didn't like that when she threw Scheana under the bus.
But I
Stop
was
it.
like, if
Yeah.
Scheana asked you to jump off a bridge, girl, like, are you going to think about jumping off a bridge? It's to me, it's just crazy. And I feel like Katie
Mhm.
might be mad at the wrong people.
I agree with that. That definitely was in my notes as well. I felt like she kept, because here's the thing. I'm sorry, Raquel, but no one, I've never heard of anyone accusing this woman of being smart, okay? Like on the cast. And so Katie is really digging into that and like going out of her way to blame everything on Scheana. And it's like, well, Raquel is right in your face. Right, like especially with this stuff. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram, but Raquel posted a photo of her and Tom, and then she's like, "Oh, like I don't know, felt cute," or some kind of like catchy caption. Like Raquel is doing it on her own. She's not the girl you think she is.
Like I said, it's a 180. Like, where did she go to school?
Yeah.
Did she go to reality TV school over the summer, and then she's coming back and she's just really, she's like, I'm just gonna stir crap up. I mean,
Uh-huh.
think about her I was talking about this with Adam actually last night. What other reunion have you had where someone breaks up and calls off an engagement on air? That
That
is
was.
Raquel.
Mhm.
That is
So
Raquel.
are you saying that she's been playing a role, but like we're starting to see the real her? Is that what you're thinking?
I Either we're seeing the real her and she's been playing a role, or the breakup with James
Mhm.
has just pushed her into, you know what? I'm gonna be everything I wasn't. I'm gonna be completely opposite of who you think I
Ooh,
can be. I don't know.
I
I don't know.
like
Either way.
that. I want to vote for the second one. I feel like
Yeah.
intellectually, I know it's the first one, but I want to like think that it's the second one because that's kind of badass. Even though I don't approve of what it is she's doing, though I do want to ask you about that a little bit later. Angelica wants to know about your meetings that you guys host in the mornings at 9 a.m. If that's a members only. I believe you said yes, but I just want to confirm again.
No, we have two channels. It'd be on Up and Adam channel 2,
Mhm.
and it's for everyone. So yeah, anyone who's there.
Perfect. And don't forget, I do have a link to Jason's Up and Adam 2 channel in the description box for this recap as well. So definitely make sure to click on in and subscribe for more videos. Steph says, I was under the impression that Raquel kissed Schwartz because he pursued her, not the other way around. And after seeing Katie being so hurt, that wasn't kind at all. Well, Schwartz is another person where you don't really know the real him, right? Like, I feel like he's the undercover villain in his relationship with Katie. And we're just seeing that more and more as this season develops, in my opinion. But I don't know if you feel the same, Jason.
Tom to me is the same person on the show as he is off the show, just
Yeah.
from knowing him for a long time. I, what's really funny
Mhm.
is just because I worked in this environment with all of them, right?
Yeah.
And with Katie comes off as kind of like sometimes bullyish on the show, like in previous seasons and stuff. And she's probably
Very.
one of the nicest people in real life. Um, but Tom is like almost the same person. But the thing is Tom didn't ask for a divorce. So for
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like Katie is really trying to still control her and Tom's relationship as if they are still married, but without the we're not
Mhm.
intimate, we're not, and I think that does take time to kind of separate. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, Tom did cheat on Katie too. So I don't know if we're gonna see more of a villainous side of Tom this season or not.
Exactly. Like, I think we talked about this on this channel in episode 1, where Tom and Katie were kind of outlining the boundaries that they had for each other amongst this divorce. And it just felt super unrealistic. Like their friendship dates once a month. The only thing that to me felt realistic was that you're not going to sleep with like your friend group. It's like, it's a small enough friend group and they're in a big enough city with attractive enough people that it shouldn't be a problem to respect that. But I don't know if you feel differently. Do you think that that's another controlling thing? Like,
I mean, listen, it, it's happened before with you had Kristen and James, and then Kristen and Tom and Ariana. Like it's this incestuous like little like family friend group.
Yeah.
And when you are working in like the little Vanderpump triangle of those restaurants, it is a little bit of a bubble.
Mhm.
So I can see I don't know, but like you said, I feel like her expectations are a little unrealistic when it comes to their relationship. I actually think they need to maybe just have a cold break for a minute.
Mhm. I agree. I think that that would have been best for them to take a little bit of a distance to process everything that it is that they're going through instead of trying to force themselves into BFF mode. It doesn't happen that way, especially after 12 years. It just does not happen that way.
I mean, have you had an ex that you're like best friends with?
No. Well, if I could only be friendly with someone if I didn't really care for them that deeply. You know what I mean? But if it was like a real love, no, I would not want them around me at all. I left countries for this, Jason. No.
Right. I think back and I'm like, you know, there's an ex is an ex for a reason, right? So I
Exactly.
kind of like it's really hard to transition into that. However, I I did. I mean, this was well before I was out and gay,
Yeah.
but I had a girlfriend when I was young. And
Uh-huh.
I know I totally broke her heart by coming out, but today we are best friends. That's
Yeah.
a different situation with being intimate, with hurting each other the way that Tom and Katie hurt each other,
Mhm.
with going through this divorce, with this kind of little chip on the shoulder that Katie has about the restaurant, and then that being a really negative space for her too. It just seems like you guys just need to kind of spend some time apart. Do
Yeah.
I agree that Tom should be really going after Raquel or even wanting to make out with her or anything in the friend group? No, I don't think that's
Mhm.
respectful to the relationship you did have. I mean, what was that, 12 years or something?
Yeah, 12 years in total.
So maintain that respect. you know,
Absolutely. Mr. Rogers says Schwartz and Raquel are very similar. They manipulate to make their partner look bad, so they look like an angel. It wasn't until the breakup that we start to see there are two P's to this pod. I always love viewer comments. They always offer like such a different take, and it's so juicy and scandalous. Elena says being close friends with an ex will hinder new relationships. I agree with that too.
I
I don't
agree with that.
Right? Would that be a red flag for you? Like someone who's still like buddy buddy with their ex, like on a close level like this? To me, yes.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Especially, I mean, and just jumping over again to like James and Raquel,
Mhm.
like it's almost the same situation. You need to like separate it a little bit. I know they
Yeah.
have Graham, the dog, that they
Mhm.
have to share, but at the
Mhm.
same time, Allie doesn't need to be playing therapist to Raquel and James. And I feel almost like she's in this stuck in the middle of this
Uh-huh.
because she wants to be nice to Raquel. She wants to be the cool new girlfriend who can like get past it, but at the same time, now Raquel's pulling her aside like what, 2, 3 times now? And it's
And what
like,
do you
leave it
make of
alone.
that? Right? You leave her alone a bit, like it's in the past, nothing to do with their relationship, I guess.
It's in the past, and I think Ariana said it best. She was like, "You know what? Like, they have to." Or who? No, I'm sorry, Ariana didn't say that. Charlie, cue
Yeah.
Charlie, episode 4, by the way. Um, but Charlie said, she's got to learn that on her own. You
Mhm.
can't have. I mean, and how much advice are you going to take from your partner's ex or your
Exactly.
boyfriend's ex? Like, how much advice do you want to take? It's insane. So
Mhm.
when you said something about or the Mr. Rogers comment, now I'm thinking that maybe she is planting things in Allie's ear, so Allie gets uncomfortable.
Uh-huh. What is a true motivation to look out for this girl? Because me personally, I would not care about the next girl that much. It's none
No.
of my business what she's got going on. I would not be like, oh my God, I gotta, unless the person was truly terrible, where it's like, this is a menace to society. I gotta warn this girl. But
He's dangerous.
exactly, because sometimes these people are dangerous, some of these, men or women or whatever. But James, he's just reckless. And I think Allie knows that. Um, Jason, do you think that Allie is a rebound, or or is it a mutually beneficial relationship? Or is it just a genuine relationship that just so happened to have sprung so quickly to love?
You know, I know they're still together, so that's good. I
Mhm.
wanted to say that it was definitely like this genuine something at the beginning, But when I see James talk to Lisa,
Yeah.
I know he's not in love with Raquel anymore, but I feel like he's going through almost that same kind of hurt. So
Mhm.
he's reacting to the hurt instead of maybe coming from a calm, collected space and moving forward. He's like, you know what? Bye, Raquel. Look, I have Allie now. And it's like, well, are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for someone else?
That's what
Just to
I
show
felt.
off that you have a girlfriend. Sorry.
No, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I think Lisa said that as well. It's like he's trying to move on to hide how much he was hurt by Raquel breaking up with him. And maybe he loves Allie, but I think he still is heartbroken at the same time. And I don't know. I feel like that's a really difficult place to be in a relationship, in love and also heartbroken. I don't know how he balances the two. Maybe that's why he's back to drinking.
That
I,
actually sucks to see, you know. And Lisa said, you might love your life, but can you manage it? And
yeah.
that's really kind of great advice. It's like, okay, can you go back to the drinking without having the outbursts? And then we see what happened at the Canyon Club, and it's like,
Mhm.
is drinking the best thing for this guy?
No, and because you know these people personally and you've worked with them, have you heard any behind the scenes like info about what happened there? Because in the flashback, I didn't see James acting in a way that warranted him being thrown out of the club. So,
No, I haven't heard anything either. So
Mhm.
I know, listen, in LA, when I mean, this is a different kind of club. I was going to say, when I worked at Pump and when I was running Pump, we would have to escort people out for various reasons. Getting too loud, yelling at women, is another thing too. And maybe someone thought he was a little too loud, a little too volatile, and they
Mhm.
needed to escort him out. But no, I haven't heard anything.
No. And so this fight was triggered by Allie confronting James about the stuff that Raquel had told her. So I think this goes back to what you were mentioning earlier, that she might have been purposely planting these seeds of doubt to kind of like, sow discord in their relationship. Does it seem to be working?
Originally, I thought no, but we're seeing it kind of work, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me. And you see, James doesn't have time for Raquel. When they met up at the dog park with Graham, it's like she wanted to bring up and hash out all of these old things that happened during the relationship.
Mhm.
However, when you break off an engagement, when you break up, why does it need to resurface, and why do you need any kind of closure if you decided to end the relationship, right?
Yeah.
And um that's when you go to a therapist. Like, you don't need to go back and talk to James, who's drinking again.
Yeah.
But I do feel like maybe she's a little more calculated than I thought.
Exactly. She's smarter than we're all taking her for, and she's more calculated than we've all taken her for. And it's really interesting to watch that play out. I don't love this short stuff, but this stuff with James, like her being his karma, is quite interesting to me nonetheless. Okay. And speaking of her being his karma, okay, a comment that James let out about Raquel, I don't know if you like caught it or if anyone watching caught it as well, but when Ali was talking to him about the stuff that Raquel said about the cheating and whatnot, he was like, "Oh well, it's all in the past. Like, who cares? Like, I'm not out here talking about how she doesn't give BJs." I was like, James, now why would you say that? Is that his character in real life to just be shady like that and just put out like just casually put out such, you know what I mean? Like, what is that, James?
I don't know, and I feel like yes. I feel like yes. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he or why he chooses to say things like that. It's but is it in the character? Has it been done before? Absolutely.
Right, like, he just makes my jaw drop. I think I had to, like, sit down for a minute, like, wow, he really put that out there about that poor girl. I'd be mortified. Steph says that he's just trying to hurt her back because he's hurt as well. But, here's the thing about James and about Schwartz. Raquel and Katie did not casually leave these men. They put up with so much more than they ever should have for them. And for so many years longer as well. So to me, it's like really upsetting the way they act like, oh, well, you left me. It's like, no, you forced me to because you could not be a good partner over all these years, over all these chances. Like, what else were they supposed to do? It just sucks.
That's a very valid and great point that you just said, because I didn't even think about What I'm thinking about is Raquel decided to end the engagement. What I'm thinking about is Katie decided to get a divorce, and then that's it. But I didn't think about all of the stuff they have put up with. You know,
Mhm.
Raquel does remind us, like, I was there through your really bad times with alcohol abuse, or, you know, Katie sticking it through even when Tom cheated. It's you don't think about that side of it. So that's a great point.
Right. These poor women suffered. Like, knowing myself, I would not have put up with like a tenth of like what it is that they've been putting up with. So like I am 1,000% like for them finally choosing themselves. You know, I do want to ask you, Jason, about the romance, the showmance, the bromance between the Toms, because Tom, in like a room full of people, including his like what 5, 6, 7, 8 year partner Ariana, he chooses to serenade Tom Schwartz with a song about Tom Schwartz's mom. What is this bromance like in real life? I just want them, not even in a romantic sense. I feel like they are soulmates, kind of like, you know, the Sex and the City girls are friend soulmates. I see
Yes.
them like friend soulmates, and it's just so beautiful. I just love them. What are they like?
It's the same. So what you're seeing on the show is the same in real life. It's funny, you know, I don't know, they're best friends, right? I and they are in real life. Even when they did our when Adam did a live show in LA last year and they showed up, they are the same person. And when they come in, because they're great, they might not be the best restaurateurs or know how the industry really works in the restaurants, but they're great mascots, especially, you know, going into Tom Tom or whatever. And they come and appear a lot like mascots, and they are the same people. It's crazy. I don't know if they became this way and started to play into like the TV personalities, and now they're just like stuck in it in real life. But they really are the same people.
I am obsessed. I love them together. They just make me so happy. Like when they come on, and that's what I look for in reality TV, because correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but reality TV has gotten so dark. I don't know if you saw the news this morning, Jason, but now Michael Darby is suing Candace for
I
the
just saw that.
right. Like there's that. Then there's the Giselle talking about I don't care that Wendy gets assaulted because I don't like her. The lies about Chris Bassett and just other shows as well. The New Jersey involving the children and family drama. Like I feel like reality needs to hang on to the Toms because they are just such a breath of fresh air.
A breath of fresh air, and like their issues and problems, like when it comes to the restaurant and stuff like that, it's so that's more fun to watch than, let's say, like Tom Sandoval going and trying to punch Jax. You know, like I find it's more reality, right? Do you
Uh-huh.
remember like how Beverly Hills started, and it was more cotton candy drama, or Ladies of London even? It wasn't like, I'm going to sue you, I'm a criminal, I scam people. You know, it wasn't like that. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
like that before, but I do have to say it has gotten very heavy and very dark. And I see, like with this season of Vanderpump Rules, I like the change in dynamics that we're seeing so far. It,
Same
it
here.
makes me want to watch it, you know?
I really hope they don't switch up the cast. Don't add anybody else. This is good. Give us another season of this, okay?
I 100% agree with that.
Now, let me know, Jason, and everyone in the chat. And by the way, you guys, I know a lot of you guys already know Jason because I'm seeing so many awesome comments about
Oh
loving him
gosh.
and loving his channel. So thank you guys for the support. But if
Thanks
you
for
would
having
like,
me here. This is fun.
of course, thank you. If you guys want to see more Jason and you're not yet subscribed, his channel is now Up and Adam 2. We talked about this a little bit earlier at the top of the recap, how he used to be down with Jason, but now he's changed the channel name to Up and Adam 2. I do have a link to it in the description box for this recap as well. So just click on and subscribe for more pop culture videos. Now, big question. Raquel,
Ready.
she takes a couple of beers and shots and she goes up to Schwartz. Scheana encourages her, supports her friend, and she's like, do you want to make out? And Schwartz, he was tempted. He was looking around for cameras. What did you think about that scene?
I thought it was funny. We at some point they do make out. Am I mistaken about this?
They
I thought
will
they
later on.
Okay,
Mhm.
good. Good. Because now I want to see it, right? We've talked so much about the makeout. Like, let's see it. I when we go and talk about Scheana, I don't think she's purposely doing it to try to get at Katie. What I think she's doing is trying to get Tom to snap out of his little
Oh.
thing he's in. You know what I mean? Like, come on, Tom,
Mhm.
like whatever. And Raquel is in the same spot, right? So
Yeah.
I get it. The encouragement, probably not a great idea if you want to maintain your relationship with Katie,
Uh-huh.
but that's never been really that great either. But I would be here for a Raquel Tom relationship. But it's
Really?
yeah.
Oh my God, I would hate it. I would feel traumatized for Katie.
I might not love it, but I would love to watch it.
Mhm. And, one thing we have to remember, you guys, is that this is who Scheana always has been. She loves to insert herself in drama. For example, when Brittany and Jax were going through their things, she wanted to hook Brittany up with this guy, Luke. It started with an L, or a blonde guy. So she was trying to organize those dates and stuff, and Brittany just was not ready to move on from Jax. So this is something that she kind of likes to do. Maybe it's like Jason is saying, to kind of like boost up the morale of her friends without really thinking about the consequence of the
Or
other.
you look at her background too, because she did jump around from guy to guy to guy for a minute. So maybe she thinks, okay, you're done with him. Let's let's jump to the next one.
Uh-huh. And you know what? I want to get to Michelle's comment, but speaking of Scheana right here, I have to ask it. Have you met Brock? Like, have you spent like a decent amount of time with him? What is he like in person? Because I feel like it
Yes.
doesn't translate well to the audience.
Oh, it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all, especially with everything that was brought up by Lala and, the stuff with his kids back home in Australia. It doesn't. He's actually phenomenal. And
Yeah.
he's a great dad too. We actually, on the Up and At Him 2 channel, we have a behind the scenes of Scheana and Ali getting ready for the Vanderpump
I saw
Rules
it.
party.
Yeah.
And the whole time when Adam was, talking to me on the phone or we were FaceTiming, he's like, Brock is such a great dad, and you don't get to see that. And you're not seeing a lot of Brock this season because I think they wanted to take a step back from that and not like push that narrative anymore.
Uh-huh.
Interestingly enough, there are two pay grades on this show. You have your salary, like your contracted salary through the whole season, or you're on a day rate, which is like hourly. You get
Yeah.
paid for the time you film. And it's interesting to see that Raquel and Scheana have switched places in this pay rate. So
Mm-hmm.
Raquel is
Well,
more of a forefront this year. I mean, that could change next year, but I found it interesting, and I wonder if that changed because they wanted to limit the time of Brock on screen. I know we have the wedding coming up, but the focus is definitely not on Brock and Scheana this season.
that's what I had heard. We were talking about this in last week's recap, but it seems like the audience was just not feeling Brock because of the issues leaving his kids, and then the child support stuff. I know Scheana allegedly paid the child support off for him, and then him trying to have a wedding at someone else's engagement party, and just the tackiness of it
That
all.
was the most tacky thing I've
It
ever
was.
seen in my life. Yeah.
I know some people have no shame. I feel like neither of them have shame. So them together, like, calm it down, you two. And then there was violence, right? Did he not allegedly raise his hand against his ex-wife or fiance or baby mama? Like, there's a lot of things that people just were not loving about him. And unfortunately, that has cost Scheana a lot. And it's sad. It really is.
It's and I think this is a good opportunity, like, to step back this season
Mhm.
and not really focus on them this season, and maybe we will see a lot more of that next season after they get married.
Exactly. Here's hoping, because so far, Scheana, she's someone who really wants love. And so I hope that she has found it and that it stays, because she's, her with her penguin and stuff. Like, she's a cutie. I have a weakness for Scheana and Sandoval. Michelle says Raquel was on Watch What Happens Live last night. She said she really likes the new photo of her and Tom. Didn't like the one press was using when talking about them. So she was like, let's give them. So that's when she got dragged on Instagram for posting that photo of her and Tom. The poor thing, not like barely any positive comments there, because it felt like she was taunting Katie at that point, Elena says, Tom and Tom have great energy in different ways, though. Schwartz takes pride in his schmoozing abilities, hence why he flipped on Katie. Oh, that's true. I want to know your opinion on that. He was trying to talk to a client at the restaurant. Like, Katie wanted to talk to him about the state of their relationship. She was kind of frazzled, and she basically was like, not right now, to the client or to the friend or whatever. And Tom flipped. He was like, you gotta go. You're like ruining my business. You're making me look bad. What did you think of that?
Well, I said this last night. We do like an on the second channel. We do like an after party. So every
Ooh.
Wednesday night, right after the show, 5 minutes after the show,
Uh-huh.
I make one of the drinks from like one of the restaurants, and then we talk about the show for like 20 minutes, and it's fun. But I said this last night to Adam. I was like, in the industry where this is your business, and this is you basically you need people to come into your restaurant. You need people to feel welcome. And for Katie to do that, it kind of felt like, I'm like, girl, you grew up in restaurants. You worked with your
Exactly.
parents, and you should know how to treat clientele. Or to bring it down for a second, of course, it's a friends and family event at
Mhm.
Schwartz and Sandy's. People want to see Schwartz and Sandy. They don't want, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
this place is just such a negative space for her because she blames
Uh,
a lot of this on the demise of their relationship. And maybe she should, like we were talking about, taking steps back. Maybe she should stay away, steer clear for a minute.
I completely agree. And you know what? It's interesting because I cannot stand Schwartz, to be honest, outside of his bromance with Sandoval. But I felt like he was 1,000% right that like Katie was behaving inappropriately and that she was trying to make everything about herself in that moment. It was just very like, it was just not the place. It was not the time. And like, the same old conversation. Like, what do you want at this point, right? We do have a super chat, by the way. Stephanie, thank you so much for the super chat. Stephanie says, LMAO Grace, I was about to say the same thing. It was Adam, and then that didn't work. Scheana hooked up with him instead. And remember, she gets divorced from that guy, Shay, right? They were together for
Shay,
six
yeah.
something years. And then she gets with who's the one? Rob. And she claims that she was together with him for like 10 years, minus the 6, 7 years that she was with her ex-husband, right? Like she's a lover, Scheana. She's a lover.
I mean, you remember she was with Max, or she hooked up with Max Boyens on season 8 too, the
Oh
manager of Tom
yeah.
Tom. Yeah.
Oh, girl, Scheana. Okay, you know
You
what?
see, it's like a bubble. It's a bubble. All those little
Yeah.
restaurants and all the people who work there, it's a little bubble.
You know, I don't know if that happens in your friend group, Jason, or like you guys in the chats, but I can say that I have, like, for example, my ex's friend group, who the things they were doing in that group, Jason, and emphasis on group, if you know what I mean. They were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
wow, they liked group activities, let's say. And then in my group here, like there's a guy who's like he's like dated maybe 2 girls in the group or whatever. So I see how it can happen, but like 12 years I feel like would be too rough, to keep in house like that.
Agreed.
Oh Lord. But you know what? Human nature is just so complicated, right? Like it's really tough. So now I do want to ask you what you think about the end of the episode when Lisa, sorry, not Lala, but Lisa starts kind of like asking the boys about their business arrangement with that man. And she's finding out that they're paying the rent, but they don't have their names on the lease, and that she feels like they're being taken advantage of almost. What did you think about that?
They did. Okay. First of all, I'm going to say it here first before I do my recap with Adam later, but
Yeah.
I said this from the beginning.
Uh-huh.
I said that Lisa is going to come to save the day. That is a storyline we are going to see this season, and that Schwartz and Sandy's will again be under the Vanderpump umbrella, or will be under the Vanderpump umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
because when it comes to like Tom, they only own a very small portion of that. I think they own the least out of all the investors and owners of Tom Tom. So
Yeah.
here they it's like they didn't learn anything from putting together Tom Tom, right? Like Ken and Lisa, they offered very strong advice or come to us, but sometimes it feels like Tom and Tom, they don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. And
I
then
think
it gets, kind of like they get frustrated. But at
mm-hmm.
the same time, when I know I'm getting off track a little bit here, but when Tom Sandoval had some rough patches and some stuff with the restaurant, he runs off with his band. That doesn't help the matter
Not at
anyway. But
all.
I really do think we are going to see. Um, Part of me thinks this is a whole conspiracy, and Greg is just some actor, and Lisa already owns Schwartz and Sandy's. But yeah, we're going to see Lisa come and save the day, and I think all of the sudden they're going to have the staff they need. the back of the house staff they need, and I'm sure it's going to get a little zhuzhed up, and by the end it's going to be running like it should be. I think this is a storyline we're going to see throughout the season.
That's what it feels like. I kind of feel like, well, who is this guy? Because I don't know where they got him from. Was he a recommendation from Lisa? Because he seems to not respect the guys at all. I feel like he's always like really quick to make condescending comments to them or talk behind their backs. Like he's talked, poorly of them to Lisa and whatnot. And now Lisa, she's almost making him out to be a scammer. So I hope he's not a real legitimate restaurateur or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that might hurt his business. Oh God. And I do agree with your theory that maybe this was just something that was planted as a storyline in order to help Lisa continue to have involvement here, and just to add a little bit of suspense. And if that's the case, really brilliantly done. Jason.
Seriously.
Seriously. Before I forget, this just popped into my head, but what do you think about Lisa's evolving accent? Because she says a lot of like words, like very like American accent these days, like her R's. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so interesting how your accent can evolve. She's still, obviously, you can tell she's British, but it's a lot less than like her first season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's crazy. I love that.
I mean, it just goes to show how long she's lived there. Who has even more of a thick accent, I want to say, and I could be going off here. Pandora has a very strong accent for someone who has been here so long.
Mm-hmm. Especially someone who was raised as a child, because Lisa came as an adult to the USA, and her accent, is apparently evolving quicker than Pandora's. That is interesting,
That is interesting that you brought that up, because now this is all I'm going to be paying attention to every time I see Lisa on the screen.
It's so fascinating to me because the longer that I spend like outside of Canada and outside of like speaking English, I find that like I am struggling to find words, or like my pronunciation is different. So I'm always looking for that in other people to make sure I'm not going crazy and I'm not pulling a Dorit or anything like that.
Do you know when I lived in Canada for almost 2 years, I started doing like Canadian things, but just not even an accent, but like, the A, like people, you know what I'm saying? A, or like, you know what I mean? When that little follow-up that happens.
Yes.
And it's just funny because I just picked that up, and it was my family that said like, oh my God, you're doing the same things. And I'm like, I didn't even notice,
I love that. A is one of my favorite things, and I hope to never drop that. It's just, it works. I was going to say it works, eh? Like it works.
It makes sense because I always find myself like, when you say like, right? Like, like it's just kind of that agreement, or that you got it. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean?
I love it. It's to the point, only 2 letters, 1 syllable, like chef's kiss. Cheers to the Canadians who came up with that. I forget that you lived in was it Montreal, because you were at Cirque du Soleil? So it's Montreal most likely, or just touring all of Canada?
In Montreal, I lived for a straight year and a half, and I loved that city so much. And then we toured, Toronto, Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, where else? Toronto, Vancouver. That's all I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But spent a lot of time in Quebec. So.
Yeah. And did you eat a lot of poutine?
When I found out what I thought it was the most gross thing in the world. And then I had it, and I'm like, oh, this could really get you in trouble if you eat a lot of this.
I swear that is like my food. And I miss it so much. We have it here, of course, but it's just not the same.
Right.
And Canada is also really good for like shawarmas. I miss having a good shawarma as well. Oh, oh my God. It's so good. It's underrated. Listen, if you guys have not visited Canada, you totally should. Like spring or summer, definitely not fall, winter.
No.
Fall, winter, laisse tomber. It's not happening at all. You go down to like they just had -40 like last month, I think it is. It's too hot. I'm talking
and especially like now we live in South Florida, like right outside Miami and stuff. And I was just in DC last week, and it was cold, and I'm like, I don't do cold well anymore.
Exactly.
I just don't. It's like 85 here right now.
Living in heaven over there. Oh my God. I did want to ask also how you felt about what's her name? Katie inviting Raquel to join in on that trip, but she wanted to exclude Scheana from it. She wants to have a divorce trip. What did you think about that decision? Did it make sense to you?
I mean, listen, I understand where Katie's coming from. I just really think she's mad at the wrong people, right? You're mad at Scheana because you think that Scheana is trying to push this whole situation, right? And I understand that. Like, I don't think Scheana was coming from a bad place. I could be mistaken, but she needs to be checking Raquel a little bit because now it's like, oh, well, if something happened, like it wouldn't be serious. That's strike one. Strike two, I went up to Tom and I asked her to make out, but he didn't. So it's okay. And then the anger shifts towards Scheana. Like Katie's anger is like, well, it's Scheana. It's just Scheana. I'm like, have you listened to this girl talk about the possibility of hooking up with your ex-husband? Did you not just hear her say, I went and asked your ex-husband to make out? You know?
Insane to me. And the fact that Raquel can sit there and watch Katie cry about how hurtful this is and how this crosses her boundaries, and to know what we know now, which is that she continues on anyway and gets with him. I'm like, her and Tom, because obviously he is responsible as well. Like, I'm so turned off by them right now. I really am.
Yeah, I don't know where I sit with Tom yet. I see what you're saying and I see what you see, but it's more like Raquel for me. I'm just like,
yeah.
Ugh. But it's still very early in the season.
Exactly. It's still early. And by the way, when they show that little preview of what else we can expect, I already forgot what else they were going to show us. I think they were going to show us the evolution of her trying to get the Toms away from the other guy so that they can invest with her and finally open the thing.
I think Ken even said, if you want to get out of this, the money's there. If you want to buy him out, the money's there. And the thing, they have so much writing on this now, seeing that I didn't even know Tom Sandoval's family put in $250,000.
Me neither. I was really surprised. That's a lot.
And I've said this, I think I said this last night on our little after party, but restaurants, especially in LA, they usually die after like 5 years. And if it's not happening, it's going to be 2 years. It's expensive. So to have that riding on your back, that your family put in all of that money, that would drive me crazy. But the thing is like Ariana said and Katie said, moving into the sandwich business, it's like, there's a lesson I've learned is don't put your own money into a restaurant.
Absolutely.
So, but my fear for them is Lisa and Ken, they're not the only people who own TomTom. They own part of it with Nick Elaine, who designed TomTom, and Tom and Tom own like the least amount. Is it going to happen again where they went off and tried to do their own thing, where they're running it, where they actually own it, and now Lisa and Ken are going to come in, save the day, and probably have say on?
I worry that they would be happy to give it up that way, right? Because right now they've got a lot of financial like debt hanging over their heads, and they're like, you know what? Even if I only get like a minority share, at least they will buy back my parents' portion of it, and that way I'm no longer indebted to my parents. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting there. It sucks that they wouldn't be majority owners anymore. I think Jason is still frozen, by the way, you guys. Yeah. But we'll get him back, I hope. Remember, he did say at the top of this recap that he was having issues with his electricity. He's been streaming on a backup generator, like all these batteries and stuff. He really has been trooping it out for us. So if he doesn't come back, just know I've got a link to his YouTube channel in the description box for this video. Oh, this thing just kicked him out. So please do make sure to go ahead and subscribe to his channel. It's called Up and Adam 2 right now. Stephanie says, the minute Katie started to include Raquel and be nicer, she should have cut the crap. Raquel is even accepting Katie's friend. That's the thing. And she's talking about, oh, we're not friends. How friendly are you? Katie is your friend and she's making efforts to you. And it's like, if you want to be able to say that with a clear conscience that you're not friends, stop accepting. Don't go on this trip. Don't do these things. It's just grimy and gross. It would be different. Exactly. If they were not on good terms at all. Casey says, I was shocked that Tom borrowed that much money from his mom. Same here. I'm like, they have like enough name and face recognition that they could have gone to people and asked for the money and not have had to come out this much. The one thing, and I wanted to ask Jason this, but what I don't understand is when his mom put in, what, $250,000, and that's hanging over his head and he's scared and whatnot, why is he still sinking in so much money to his band? Because he needs that money as emergency money, right? So that's something that I absolutely did not understand. Labetha, hi Labetha. I totally agree with Grace. Tom, Raquel, and Shenanigans is, sorry, you guys. Tom, Raquel, and Shenanigans are behaving awful and hurtful. Don't have anything for them so far this season. Who needs friends like this? I swear, with friends like that, who needs enemies? Like, their behavior is just so shocking and disappointing to me. I can't, just seeing Katie cry like that to their faces and them continue along with this. And then for Tom to make her feel like she's crazy and selfish for wanting to maintain the boundaries that he already had agreed to. Ugh. I would go crazy if I were Katie, to be honest with you. It's really unfair what they're doing to her. Paige says, hi, Grace. Hello, Jason. Hey, friends. Sorry, I'm late. It's so nice to see you here again, Paige. I remember you from our other recaps as well. I'm so mad at Tom, Scheana, and Raquel. Okay, listen, it seems like you guys are my people. We've got like the same kind of code of ethics. I would never do what it is that Raquel is doing, right? Even if I had never spoken to the girl and she's in the friend group and we've never spent one-on-one time together, I would still feel kind of icky about doing that. There are a billion men in the planet. And Raquel, Tom Schwartz, really? Tom Schwartz, of all things, that's what you want to go for? And you want to hurt someone over Tom Schwartz of all people? Like, I'm sorry, but that is the L of the century. That is not even a man, right? To me, he's just a little boy. Elena says, thanks for answering my question, Jason. So the Toms are barely owners of Tom Tom. I could have sworn that it was said that they own 5% between the two of them, or 5% each. Like, they really own almost nothing in that restaurant. Absolutely delusional. Oh, the band. That's what you're talking about, Nat. Yeah. Like, why is he spending? He's paying all the members, which is good. Pay your folks. He's paying for their food. He's paying to rent the space, and then all the other stuff that they're doing. It's an awful lot. The band is an unnecessary money pit. Very irresponsible. He's, when you're talking about, I'm pacing around in my backyard, staring at the sky, all stressed out over money that I owe to my family and I can't fail, then put this on the back burner. I know that it's something that helps him with his stress and whatnot, but you've got to put it on the, look who's back.
I'm so sorry, guys. Our power has been in and out all day. We just moved into our new place and it's just been crazy. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. We were just wrapping up the chats. And I was telling them, because you know what? You did announce it at the beginning of the episode, so it's all good.
Okay,
no
good.
Well, the last point that I wanted to leave off on with you, Jason, is why is Tom spending all this money on the band when he's got all this money hanging over his head that he owes to his family?
That I don't know. What is crazy to me, though, is the amount of money he is spending on the band, because I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and maybe he just wants really good musicians to back him up. I don't know, but to pay for their transport, their food, it's, you're all in it together, right? So
exactly.
I don't know. But Tom has a way of overspending, right? Like, we even saw when he wanted to open Tom Tom, and he wanted to do all these crazy.
Oh no. And you know what? I'm worried for Jason, because Jason's going live on. There he is. Okay, good.
I'm
Jason,
back.
how are you going to do your live? Your live is up in 5 minutes.
I know. I don't know if he pushed it back or not, but I don't know how. Oh, no, our internet just did come back, so that's good.
Okay, good.
Saved by the bell.
Amen. And you know what? That's a perfect note to leave on. You're right that he is an overspender, because look at James's engagement party. That man spent $20,000 of his own for this engagement party. Ridiculous.
For something that didn't work out.
Exactly. You should have invoiced him the second that did not work out.
Yeah, you owe me.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us here. It has been so awesome chatting with you. Seriously, you're just the absolute best. Thank you. Guys, don't forget, Jason is on YouTube as Up and Adam 2. They're going to be doing a Vanderpump Rules live stream right about now on Up and Adam normal channel, I believe, right?
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get there in time, but I don't know if everything's back up to where it needs to be. We might have to delay it.
Well, if not, I do have plenty of other videos going on. He did mention something really cool earlier in the episode, which was the team meetings and whatnot that you can kind of like listen in on and watch in on as well, which I'm looking forward to tuning in on as well. Well, and all of you in the chat, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights as well. Take good care of yourselves, everybody, and have a great week and weekend. We're almost Friday. Bye.